few things we wanted to dive into here. I know, Dave, you had a better flow. I wrote down some topics, but why don't you kick us off here?
Yeah, so to start it off, what everybody knows about Tajay now. I think he's really since like almost Matt Forte, the biggest name from Tulane, right? So you've been to the practices and everything this year. Is there anybody this year that you think could maybe not be that level, but somebody to watch out for?
I mean, specifically at running back, I am very intrigued by their new freshman running back, Arnold Barnes, who had originally committed to Nebraska. He's a local guy, though, and they got him to commit here. I think that 50% of their recruiting class this year came from Louisiana, which is really important for Tulane. But he's built like Michael Turner in terms of stature. His lower body, he's just really like a thick guy. But he's quick. He has really good initial quickness. He has good balance, good speed. And really has been impressive so far, even though he's just been there for a few weeks. I think they really shine in the transfer portal, and I think a lot of the secondary players that they've gotten there, Andre Sam sticks out to me in the transfer portal, and then a lot of speed that they brought in at wide receiver with Keith Brown and Dante Fleming, and that complements their current room with Lawrence Keyes and Jaquan Jackson. It really is a different-looking team, but I think it'll also be one that's led a lot more by Michael Pratt this season. I mean, I know Willie Fritz is a run-first philosophy kind of guy, but when you have a generational talent like Tajay Spears, it's really easy to lean into that, but I think we'll see kind of more of the year of the quarterback this season. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you mentioned Keith. He's somebody I'm really excited about. I just told you I'm a Miami fan, and he's from South Florida, and they were really into getting him. So I know a lot about him. So as soon as I saw he transferred over here, I told him I'm super excited about him. On that topic, so he's a transfer. You had people last year like Jarius come in and be major contributors, and I know there's a lot of spotlight on him this year. How do you feel overall, like the new age of college football, the transfer portal, NIL a little bit? I think the transfer portal is more of a impactful thing than NIL. How do you think that impacts like Tulane or smaller schools like Tulane? You think it's good, bad?
I think in general for smaller schools, it's not a great thing, but I think Tulane, it really flies under the radar how little that's all affected them. I mean, think about the fact that only one starter transferred after the 2-10 season, and they didn't have really that many guys enter the portal after this season either, and what they gained in the portal were legitimate starters like Jarius Monroe, like Lummy Young, who came in, and Jarius Monroe proved extremely helpful when Jaden Kennedy went down for the season. Lawrence Keyes, guys that also are from Louisiana. I think they really have like a keen understanding of the fact that some guys do want to come back and have their family come to games and kind of feel that again. They go away to school, they kind of get sold on a big name, and then they feel homesick. In that same way that Nick Anderson was choosing between Ole Miss and Tulane, even though he's not from here, it feels like home to him. And I think that through the Wave Collective, the way that they've incorporated charitable giving into that, they're one of the top G5 programs in terms of being able to fund things, including, being able to retain Michael Pratt, who I know was enticed by the transfer portal, but they have such a strong collective. And it really is also, it's impactful. They do things with it that matters. It's not just flashy brand deals. It's partnering with organizations like Son of a Saint. And those guys really put the time in. The week of the Cincinnati game, they're at the Children's Hospital, they're at Son of the Saint, the same thing with the championship game, when they had all the reason to go to the boot, go to the Palms, and let off some steam. And that's not to say they never did that, but they also took the time in their community. And so I think Tulane has a finger on the pulse on that in a way that a lot of G5 programs just don't.
I've said that the transfer portal is good for people like Tulane because, I mean, like you look at Keith, like he's a 4-star recruit, goes to A&M, not really getting the playing time. He's going to come here. I'm assuming he's going to be one of the featured guys in the offense. So I think it just, those guys that maybe they're a little impatient at the bigger schools come here, and they're going to make an immediate impact. And the more, it might be maybe now that Tulane is winning, they can get some more 4-star recruits in here. But in the past, it was hard for them to do that,
I just want to say what stuck out to me the most after the spring game was our transfer linebacker, Tyler Grubbs, who I think is a really sick player, and he made like an interception off his head during the game. He went out there and he started talking about how he wanted to transfer somewhere and go where they're winning and they're contending for that ring, and Tulane's a group of winners. And I turned around to Steve Barrios, who's our radio color analyst, who is a former player. He's been 40 years in the broadcast booth. And I'm like, have you ever heard a player come in here and say that, describing Tulane? So last season, really, it has a legacy that's already palpable.
Right, that's crazy because it's only 1 year.
Right.
Well, I think Willie Fritz has done an excellent job of establishing himself as that front-runner coach. Not a front-runner coach, but a top-tier coach. You know, he's able to develop talent. He's able to really turn programs around. And I think just even diving into that a little more, it says a lot that even you mentioned Michael Pratt, like being enticed by other places. I mean, Willie Fritz was enticed by other places, and he chose to stay. So it says a lot that a lot of guys are deciding to stay here. Just as a fun question, do you think it's anything with the city of New Orleans, or, you know, Tulane's always ranked as like one of the top fun schools,
right?
You know, from
I wonder
all those schools
why
out there, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you think there's anything to that with some of these transfers as well?
In terms of wanting to come to Tulane,
yeah.
So I think there's the perception of Tulane as this kind of work hard, play hard school, but at the end of the day, it is a really good degree to have. And it's an opportunity that a lot of guys otherwise wouldn't get if not for football. So especially in the transfer portal, being able to get that degree, because the reality is most guys aren't going to the NFL. So to have that stability and the ability to have a career, especially in the transfer portal, to get a graduate degree from Tulane, I mean, that value just can't be understated enough.
Right.
But I also think it doesn't only affect the football players, but I just want to say I think that admissions spiked something like 80% after the Cotton Bowl win. So it does go to show, even though we're an academic school that's known for partying, football really does end up mattering at the end of the day. And I think they're really marrying the three of those things together in a way that I don't think anyone ever really thought was feasible, just with the decades of turmoil between the administration, the athletics department, and lack of cohesion. You brought up Willie Fritz Georgia Tech thing, the way that they all came together with Mike Fitz and Troy Dannon and Willie Fritz all putting out that statement. That was the first time that there really has been that type of symbiosis between all of those different departments.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's music to the ears of longtime Tulane fans, because, you know, for years you would hear there was a commitment to sports, things like that.
And they almost voted to get rid of it.
Right. So, but now you win a Cotton Bowl, and all of a sudden admissions spike, and it's you know, overall it's good for the community, the college overall. Like I was saying, like, it's just something that people don't take into account a lot, and it definitely says a lot.